Welcome back, and this is going to be our second lecture in finance. And what we're going to be doing is that we are going to be applying the framework we have learned over the course of the first lecture. So today we are going to be applying the model. We are going to be applying the framework we have conceptualized as far as like the discipline of finance is concerned. And our application today is what we call fixed income securities pricing. Okay, so today we're going to be doing fixed income securities pricing. In particular, we are going to be talking about bonds, right? So what a bond is, how a bond is going to be priced is going to be exhausting our lecture today. A bond is a debt contract. Okay, so a bond is a debt contract. It's a debt contract. A bond is a debt contract. It's a contract to owe. Okay, so what a bond is, it's debt contract. It's a contract to owe. You got it? It's a contract to owe. And any contract is a function of some terms. Okay? Okay, so what a contract is all about, it's nothing but some terms spelled out and agreed upon. So once you have terms mutually spelled out and agreed upon, you can call you have a contract. You can say you have a contract. So a debt contract is not going to be any different. So a debt contract is nothing but a contract where we're going to be having some terms, and some parties will have to agree upon those terms. Okay, so what are the terms? So any contract is a function of its terms. Any contract is all about its terms. And therefore, what are the terms to a debt contract? For a basic debt contract, we have 5 terms. Okay, so for a basic debt contract, we have 5 terms. The first term to a debt contract is what we call par value. Par value, PV, or face value. So in a bond language, par value and face value are synonymous, are strictly synonymous. So for a bond language, par value and face value are strictly synonymous. And par value defines the very first term to a bond contract. Okay, so where are we now? A bond contract, a contract is nothing but some terms, right, that are like mutually spelled out and agreed upon, right? The first term is what we call par value, PV, i.e. face value. So in a bond world, par value and face value are strictly synonymous. Okay. The second term to a bond contract is what we call the coupon rate. The coupon rate is nothing but promised return. Okay. Is nothing but promised R. So again, R again, all over the place in finance. What finance is all about? The big question of P0, right? The big answer of expected benefits, right? And the toolbox of R and T. You got it? The toolbox of T and R, right? And what's R? That's the price of T. That's the value of T, right? That's the value of time, right? Good. So the first term to a bond contract, to a debt contract, which we call bond, the first term is par value, i.e. face value. So in a bond world, par value and face value are strictly synonymous. The second term is what we call coupon rate. What's a coupon rate? It's a promised R. What's a coupon rate? It's a promised return. You got it? It's a promised return. The third term to a bond contract, the third term to a bond is what we call time to maturity. So the third term to a bond Simply time to maturity. Time to maturity. The fourth term to a debt contract is the discount rate. Well, we have a couple of rates here. We have the coupon rate, and then we have the discount rate. Whereas the coupon rate is promised return, the discount rate is market determined return. Okay? You got it? So what's a discount rate? It's a market R. It's what, huh? It's a market determined R. It's a market R. You got it? So as opposed to the promised R, we have a market determined R. You got it? So as opposed to a promised R, we have a market determined R. R all over the place in finance. The entire discipline of finance is nothing but the study of time and return. It's nothing but the study of T and R. And for that very simple contract, we have a couple of types of R's, right? First, we have the promised R, right? Second, we have the market determined R. You got it? You got it? So we have the promised price of time and the market determined price of time, because this is what R is all about. It's nothing but the price of time. You got it? The fifth debt contract term is what we call options. We're going to be talking about those options in great detail. So a debt contract we refer to as a bond. Any contract is nothing but some terms. Here we have, for a basic debt contract, we have 5 terms. Those terms are par value, i.e. face value. Second, we have the coupon rate. Third, we have the time to maturity. Fourth, we have the discount rate. And last, we have the options. What's par value or face value? Those are synonymous in the bond world. So what do I mean by par value or face value? Par value is simply a single sum promised at maturity. So what's par value? It is nothing but a lump sum or a single sum promised at maturity. Okay. So what's par value, i.e. face value? It's nothing but a lump sum promised at, It's nothing but a lump sum promised at maturity. You got it? You got it? So it's a total amount promised at maturity. Promised at maturity. What's coupon rate? It's a promised return. It's what, It's a promised return. What's time to maturity? Time to maturity, it's what we call years until expiration. Years until what, Years until expirations. It's n years until expirations. It's n years until expiration. N years until expiration. What's a discount rate? As opposed to the coupon rate, this is a market determined R. You got it? This is a market determined R. And the last term is what we call options. So again, let's review. A bond, a debt contract, 5 terms. Par value, i.e. face value, and this is nothing but a lump sum amount promised at maturity, right? Then we have the coupon rate, and what is it? This is promised return. This is what, This is promised return. It's a promised R. Then we have time to maturity, and this is nothing but n years until expiration. N years until expiration. And then we have the discount rate, which is a market rate. It's a market return rate. It's a market determined rate of return. It's a market determined rate. And then we have the options. Any contract is not going to be up forever, right? It eventually expires, right? It eventually expires. The time elapsed between signing the contract until expiration is what we call time to maturity. Is what we call what, Is what we call time to maturity. Is what we call what, Is what we call time to maturity. Well, simply it's nothing but n years until expiration. Let's see how that debt contract is signed, and let's talk a little bit more about it. So what's a debt contract again? It's a contract to owe. It's a contract to owe. It's a contract, it's a borrowing contract. So what, It's a borrowing contract. It's a borrowing contract. So we're going to be, the parties to that contract are going to be a lender and a borrower, right? Are going to be what? Are going to be a lender and a borrower, right? Are going to be like some investor and some guy like borrowing, right? You see that? And those are the parties we're going to be talking about throughout debt contracts, throughout bonds. So let's see how things are. Let's see how things are. So, okay, so this is an investor here. Okay. And this is a business firm. Okay. And the business firm is after raising some capital. Okay. So the business firm is after raising what? Is after raising some capital, right? Right? And here's our investor. So who's going to be borrowing here? Who's going to be borrowing? Who's going to be borrowing? Is it the investor who's going to be borrowing from the business firm, or is it the other way around? Well, the business firm is going to be borrowing from the investor, and the investor is going to be lending the business firm, right? Right? So the business firm, in order to borrow from the investor, it has to issue the investor the bond. It has to issue the investor what? It has to issue the investor the bond, right? It has to issue the investor what? The bond. So the business firm is going to be issuing a bond to that investor. You got it? In return, the investor is going to be supplying the business firm with how much? So again, look at it. It's very simple. So in order for that bond contract to be spelled out, what has to happen? The business firm will have to issue the investor a bond, right? In return, the investor is going to be supplying the business firm with how much? The investor is going to be supplying the firm with how much? Well, in very simple terms, the investor is going to be supplying the business firm with the market price of that bond. You got it? You see what I'm driving at? Huh? So the business firm is going to be issuing the investor the bond, right? Right? It's going to be offering that bond to the investor. And for that investor to pick up that bond, he has to supply what? He has to supply how much? He has to supply the market value for that bond. He has to supply what? He has to supply the market price for that bond, right? He has to supply the market price for that bond. If Abdullah Suruji here offers me his car, what do I have to supply him in return? I have to supply him the market price for that car. You got it? You got it? So it's a very nice, simple, basic market deal. So here, the investor will have to pay the business firm, will have to supply the business firm the market price for the bond, right? And the market price is what in finance? It's P0. We know that, right? This is what finance is all about, right? So the market price is what in finance? It's P0. It's nothing but P0. This is what the discipline of finance is all about. So the investor will have to supply this much, P0. In the bond world, we call that P0 FMV. We call it what, We call it FMV. We call it the fair market value. We call it what, The fair market value. We call it what, We'll call it the fair market value. So this is generally speaking how a bond looks like. This is how a debt contract is all about. It's about a business firm offering some investor some kind of debt contract, and the investor in return is going to be supplying that offering firm the market price of that contract, of that bond. Okay? So who's borrowing here? It's the business firm, right? Who's issuing the bond here? The business firm. Who's holding the bond? The investor, right? So who is a bond holder? The investor. The investor is a bond holder. Who is a bond issuer? The business firm. You got it? So the bond issuer is simply the borrower. Simply what? Simply the borrower. Whereas the investor is simply what? Simply the bond holder. Simply what? Simply the bond holder. Great. So this is what we have. Let's see some more details into that deal. Let's conceptualize the terms. Let's go ahead and conceptualize the terms that we have. So let's see how. Well, the big question, of course, is how can we decide on the fair market value? How can we possibly decide on P0? We know something before we start. We know that P0 is D. This is what finance is all about, right? We know that P0 is D. And it's D of benefits, right? It's D of what, huh? It's D of expected benefits, right? So a very legitimate question to ask here is what kind of benefits does a bond holding entitle the investor to? This is a very legitimate question here, right? So if the bond holder is going to be paying out P0, right, what kind of benefits he's going to be getting in return? What kind of benefits is he promised in return? And that's spelling out P0 boils down to nothing but answering those questions. Well, let's go ahead and see how those questions can be answered. A bond entitles the investor to a couple of benefits. So a bond entitles the investor to a couple of future benefits. First, the first type of benefits is what we call periodic coupons. Is what we call what, huh? Periodic coupons. Periodic what, huh? Periodic coupons. The second type of benefit, the second type of benefits is what we call par value. Is what we call what, huh? Par value. Is what we call what, huh? Par value. You got it? So any bond entitles the holder to a couple of types of benefits. First, we have periodic coupons. First, we have what, huh? First, we have periodic coupons, and second, we have par value. But what's par value? It's nothing but a lump sum amount promised at maturity. It's nothing but what, huh? It's nothing but a lump sum amount promised at maturity. So in order to decide on P0, the investor is going to be solving a discounting exercise where periodic coupons along with par value are going to be discounted. And when the investor is done doing that, right, he's going to be going home with P0, right, with which he has to supply the business firm in order to be entitled to the bond holding. You got it? Good. Well, let's see how. Let's see an example. What's a periodic coupon? What's a periodic coupon? Well, the periodic coupon is nothing but the coupon per period, right? So how much is the annual coupon? The annual coupon is going to be the coupon rate times par value. Times what, huh? Times par value. And if we're going to be working semi-annually, therefore the periodic coupon is going to be half of that, right? It's going to be what, huh? It's going to be 1/2 of that, right? It's going to be the annual coupon divided by 2. If we're going to be working quarterly, therefore the periodic coupon is going to be the annual coupon over 4. If we're going to be working monthly, therefore the periodic coupon is going to be a monthly coupon, and this is nothing but an annual coupon over 12, right? You got it? So what do I mean by a periodic coupon? It's nothing but the annual coupon over the number of periods involved, right? Over the number of periods involved. Before we go ahead and see an example, before we go ahead and apply those concepts, I gotta tell you something about real world bonds. We know a couple of facts about real world bonds. Real world bonds are semi-annual. Okay, so real world bonds are what, huh? So unless otherwise stated, real world bonds are semi-annual. You got it? So real world bonds by definition are semi-annual, unless otherwise stated. Again, unless otherwise stated, the par value is always $1,000. You got it? So unless otherwise stated, the par value is always $1,000, right? And returns are semi-annual. And returns are what, huh? Are semi-annual, right? So for real world bonds, unless otherwise stated, the par value is going to be always $1,000. It's going to be always $1,000, and the returns are going to be always promised semi-annually. Are going to be what? Huh? Are going to be always semi-annual. You got it? Well, let's go ahead and see an example. Again, a bond is a debt contract. Any contract is about the terms, and therefore, what are the terms involved here? We have 5 terms. First, par value, i.e. face value. This is nothing but a lump sum amount promised at maturity. Then we have a coupon rate. This is nothing but a promised rate of return. Then we have time to maturity, and this is n years until expiration. Then we have the discount rate, which is a market-determined rate of return. Then we have options. We're not going to be talking about options today. So we're going to be chiefly concerned today with bond pricing. What a bond entitles the investor to? A bond entitles the investor to a couple of benefits, to a couple of types of benefits. The first type of benefits is what we call periodic coupons, right? What's a periodic coupon? It's an annual coupon over the number of periods involved. What's an annual coupon? It's the coupon rate times the par value, right? The second type of benefits is what we call par value. What's a par value? It's lump sum amount promised at maturity. You got it? It's lump sum amount promised at maturity. In return for the benefits, the investor will have to supply the business firm the market price of the bond, which we call the fair market value. Which we call what? Which we call the fair market value. Who is borrowing here? It's the business firm. Who's lending is the investor. The business firm is said to be a bond issuer, whereas the investor is said to be what? A bond holder. A bond what? A bond holder. A couple of facts about real world bonds. Unless otherwise stated, the par value is always $1,000, right? And unless otherwise stated, coupons are always going to be semi-annual. Coupons are always going to be what? Are going to be semi-annual. Let's go ahead and apply those concepts. Let's see an example. We're going to be learning a lot about bond pricing with 3 basic examples, okay? So we're going to be learning a lot about bond pricing with 3 basic examples. So the first example today, again, unless otherwise stated, par value is what? Par value is $1,000. And again, unless otherwise stated, coupons are always going to be semi-annual. Coupons are always going to be what? Are always going to be semi-annual. So my first example today is FMV is how much? FMV is how much for a 3-year bond, a 3-year bond, 10%, well, 8% coupon, 8% coupon rate at 10% discount rate. Okay? So how can we make sense of that bond? How can we possibly decide on the fair market value? What finance is all about? Again, it's about the big question of P0, right? In a bond world, it's about the big question of fair market value, right? It's about the big answer of expected benefits, and it's about the toolbox of T and R. You got it? It's about the toolbox of time and the price of time. This is what finance is all about. Good. So how can we possibly exhaust all of that in terms of answering that problem here? How much is fair market value? How much is fair market value for a 3-year bond, 8% coupon, and 10% discount rate? Again, unless otherwise stated, the par value is always $1,000, and unless otherwise stated, coupons are always going to be semi-annual. Coupons are always going to be what? Coupons are always going to be semi-annual. You got it? So let's go ahead and see that. Since finance is all about the toolbox of T&R, it's always safe in finance to think in terms of a timeline. To think in terms of what? Of a timeline. It's always very safe in finance to think in terms of a timeline. So if you come across any financial problem and you're sort of like confused or don't know what to do, go ahead and build yourself a timeline. You're going to be on the right track. Why this is so? This is so because finance is nothing but the study of time and R. So if you can conceptualize things over a timeline, you're going to be doing the right thing, right? So let's see how. Let's have a timeline for this bond. Well, how many years here? We have 3 years to maturity, right? This is the first year, the second year, and the third year, right? So 3 years, but how many teeth are going to be showing up on the timeline?
2.
So 3 years, but how many teeth? Well, we know that real world bonds are semi-annual,
4.
right? And therefore, we're going to be having how many teeth?
4.
Well, we're going to be having, 6 of them. Exactly. Right. Because we're going to be answering to a couple of periods per year. A couple of periods for 3 years is how many periods? 6 periods. Great. So we're going to be having a period here, period here, a period here, a total of 6 periods, of course. Right? I don't have to go public with it. I don't have to go public with it because you know better. You know that unless otherwise stated, coupons are going to be semi-annual. You got it? Unless otherwise stated, coupons are going to be what? Coupons are going to be semi-annual. Good. And unless otherwise stated, par value is always going to be $1,000. You got it? You see that? So good. So how much is coupon here? How much is coupon payment here? Well, annual coupon is how much? Annual coupon is how much?
1,000.
So annual coupon per year is how much? Well, it's the coupon rate, which is 8%, times par value, which is what? Which is always $1,000 unless otherwise stated, and therefore the annual coupon is going to be how much? It's going to be $80. It's going to be what, huh? It's going to be $80, right? And therefore the periodic coupon is going to be how much? It's going to be 40. So the annual coupon is 80, right? The coupon per year is 80, and therefore the coupon per half a year is going to be how much? It's going to be 40. And therefore the annual coupon, therefore the periodic coupon is going to be 40. It's going to be 80 over 2, which is 40, right? Right? So this bond promises how much coupon per period? Promises $40 a coupon per period, right? Promises a periodic coupon of $40, right? Each and every half a year up to 3 years, right? This is what we have in a store for this bond, right? So how much are we going to be having here? What am I looking for in the first place? I'm looking for P0. I'm looking for what, huh? P0. And in bond language, what we call it? We call it fair market value. We'll call it FMV. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for FMV. Where is it? On the timeline, it's here, time 0. So I'm looking for FMV here, at time 0, right? Right? Now let's talk about the benefits. What are the benefits? Well, a periodic coupon of $40 for every half a year up to 3 years, up to a total of 3 years, and therefore how much we're going to be getting here? 40. How much we're going to be getting here? 40. How much we're going to be getting here? 40. How much we're going to be getting here? 40. It's $40 every 6 months, right? $40 every 6 months. How much are we going to be getting here? 40. How much are we going to be getting here? 40 plus what? The second type of benefits. The second type of promised benefits when it comes to a bond. Yes, plus the $1,000 bond investment. The $1,000 par value. You got it? So those are the benefits involved. Those are what? Those are the benefits involved. So if you look at them, if you talk finance into them, so what are we having here? We're having an annuity of $40 every period, right? Every period. We're having an annuity of $40 every 6 months for 3 years, and the single sum of $1,000 after 3 years. You got it? So this is exactly the kind of benefits we have for that investment.
So it's more like a money deposit at the bank. It generates profit, then you take your money with the profit.
Perfect. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Bravo. Very nice. Exactly. Exactly. Good. Good. So what kind of benefits involved here? It's an annuity of $40 every 6 months up to 3 years, and the single sum of $1,000 after 3 years. You got it? The single sum of $1,000 after 3 years. Let's go ahead and solve the problem. Let's go ahead and solve the problem. So what's FMV? What am I going to be looking for? What's FMV? Thank you, Majid. FMV is P0. What's P0? It's D. What's P0? P0 is D. This is what finance is all about. Okay, this is what finance is all about. So what's P0? It's D. D of what? D of benefits. D of what? D of benefits, right? So what are the benefits? How many types of benefits? 2 types. The first type is what? The first type is an annuity of coupon payments. Of what? It's an annuity of coupon payments, right? It's an annuity of coupon payments. And the second type of benefits is what? Is the single sum of par value. Is what? The single sum of par value. Why is it an annuity of coupon payments? Why is it an annuity of coupon payments? Because it's a periodic single sum for 3 years. That's an annuity. This is a textbook definition of an annuity, right? It's a periodic single sum of $40 for 3 years, and hence an annuity of $40 every 6 months for 3 years. Good. So P0 is D. First, the first benefit is how much? It's $40, right? So D, how much and what is it? You know the framework. You know how things are. You got it? And if you have questions, you stop me and ask me. So D of how much and what is it, right? You got it? So D, how much? The very second question is what is it? Good. So $40 and what is it? It's an annuity. It's what, huh?
Annuity.
So it is not a single sum, right? It's an annuity because it's a periodic single sum. And therefore it is not a single sum per se, it's an annuity. Why? Because it's a periodic single sum. So it's $40 and what is it? Of course an annuity. Of course what, huh? Of course an annuity. What else? We have R, right? R here is going to be what? Is it going to be the discount rate or the coupon rate? R, is it going to be the discount rate or the coupon rate? It's always going to be the discount rate. It's always going to be what, huh? It's always going to be the discount rate because we discount with the market price of time. You got it? So your discount rate is always going to be the market price of time. It's always going to be what, huh? The market price of time. So the R that goes into discounting is going to be the discount rate as opposed to the coupon rate, right? Right? The coupon rate is only good for the coupon payment. The coupon rate is only good for what, huh? Is only good for the coupon payment, right? But what is going to be entering the discounting exercise is going to be the discount rate, not the coupon rate. Be careful. You got it? So how much is it now? What's R? It's going to be 10%. And what are those R? Are they the discount rate or the coupon rate? The discount rate. Because I'm solving a discounting exercise, and therefore I'm going to be using the market price of time, which is the discount rate. Which is what? Which is the discount rate. Great. What else? What else? So $40 annuity, 10%. What else? Huh? Then we have M. M by definition is how much for a bond? It's 2. Because unless otherwise stated, coupons are going to be semi-annual, and therefore M is going to be what? M is going to be 2, right? N is how much? It's 3 years. It's what, huh? 3 years. Plus the second type of benefits. D. D of what? Well, D of $1,000, right? What are those now? Those are a single sum. It's a one-time amount, right? So the $1,000 shows up only at the end of 3 years, right? Shows up only after 3 years. It is not a periodic amount. It's a one-time amount. And therefore, it's a single sum. And therefore, it's what, huh? It's a single sum. So $1,000, a single sum. And R is how much? R, again, is 10%. It's the discount rate. M, by definition, for a bond is what? It's 2. This is implicit. I don't have to go public about it. So unless otherwise stated, coupons are always going to be semi-annual, and the par value is always going to be $1,000, right? So 2, and years to maturity is how much? 3 years. Good. This is going to be showing up after 3 years. So let's go ahead and solve that. So discount and annuity. How can we do that? Discount and annuity. How can we possibly do that? It's going to be 40. 40 times. Guys, you better be studying for this course on a lecture by lecture basis. You better be studying for this course on a lecture by lecture basis. You got it? Because we're going to be building up one step at a time. Okay? So you know how to discount an annuity by now. So you better tell me. How can we possibly discount an annuity? It's 40 times, yes sir. It's 1 minus 1 plus 10% over 2, right? to the power of negative 2 times 3, right? Over 10% over 2, right? Plus, let's go ahead and discount that single sum. Let's go ahead and discount that single sum. So what we have?
1,000.
Right? Times
1 plus
1 plus 10%
5
over 2 to the power of
3.
negative 2 times 3. Right? So the answer is going to be how much? You better be participating. Otherwise, I'm gonna be marking you down. So you gotta participate, if you please. You gotta participate, if you please. So how much is F&V? Otherwise, I'm gonna be giving you the mark down, nice and simple. No guilt.
For now,
How much is it, F&V? Where's your pocket calculator, Hamza? You forgot it? Your pocket calculator, Hamdan? So F&V is how much, guys? $9.49, I think, or right? $9.49, is it, sir? F&V, how much? So we discounted an annuity and discounted a single sum, and this is what we have, right? So how much is it? A total of, right, $9.49, right? $9.49. $9.49.2, I guess, right? So this is how much we have. It's $9.49.2. Is it? Confirmed? $9.49.2. $9.49.2. Great. So this much is $9.49.2, and this is less than, and this is less than face value, right? This is what, huh? This is less than face value. Why? Because unless otherwise stated, face value is $1,000, right? So $9.49 is definitely less than $1,000, right? So this is what we have so far for this bond. So make sure you have everything about this bond. So it's the fair market value for a 3-year bond, 8% coupon at a 10% discount rate is going to be $949.2, which is less than the face value of $1,000, right? So let's go ahead and answer to a different bond. The second example we're going to be doing today. Okay? The second example we're going to be doing today. So for that bond, notice here that fair market value was below the face value of $1,000. You got it? You got it? Good. So let's go ahead and do a second example. Let's go ahead and do a second example. Are we done copying here?
That's a maqam 10%.
It's 10% over 2. 10% over 2. Yeah, 10% backslash 2. Okay, so let's do the second example. Let's do the second example. We're going to be having let me go ahead and do the second example, and here we are going to be looking for F&V still. we are going to be looking for FMV still, a 3-year bond, 8% coupon, but the discount rate is going to be going down 6%. So instead of 10%, it's going to be a 6% discount rate. You got it? So instead of 10%, our second bond is about a discount rate of 6%. Okay? Good. Do I have to change that timeline?
Yes.
Well, look at it. Be careful. Do I have to change that timeline?
No.
Oh, we're still going to be answering to the 3 years. We're still going to be answering to the 8% coupon. And therefore, we don't have to change the timeline. The timeline is going to remain untouched, right? You got it? Right? I haven't changed the years to maturity, the number of years to maturity. I haven't changed the discount rate, and therefore, the timeline is going to be still in place. It's not going to be going anywhere. We're going to be eventually answering to the same timeline. And now, let's go ahead and answer to the fair market value. How much fair market value are we going to be having for that particular bond? So think about it. What we do.
P0.
So what's FMV? What's FMV? It's P0. What's P0? P0 is D. P0 is what? D of what? It's D of benefits. It's D of what? It's D of benefits. You got it? So P0 is D of benefits, right? So it's going to be D of benefits. How much benefits are we talking about? First, we have an annuity of how much? $40. Which is what? Which is an annuity, of course, right? Ours, how much? 6%. Bravo. Thank you, Ibrahim. So it's not going to be 10% anymore, right? It went down to 6%, right? So it's going to be 6%. What else?
2.
M is 2 by definition. Thank you, Ibrahim. Very good. So M is 2 by definition. So unless otherwise stated, coupons are semi-annual. Unless otherwise stated, coupons are semi-annual. So M is going to be 2 by definition. Then we're going to be having N of how much? 3 years to maturity. 3 years to maturity. Plus D again. D of what? D of the grand, which is a lump sum amount promised at maturity, which we call par value. Which we call what? Which we call par value, i.e. face value. Which we call par value, i.e. face value. So it's going to be $1,000. A single sum. R of 6%. M of 2. N of 3, right? And we can answer. Do the math. So this is going to be how much?
1,000.
This is going to be what?
1,000.
Right?
328.
So it's going to be what? Can I see here?
1,054 plus.
It's going to be 1054.17. Is it? 1054.17. Is it confirmed? 1054.17.
Reasonable or?
Huh?
1329.
1329?
No.
Looks like a nicer answer to me. So let's see what? Let's see how. Let's see how much. How much is it? Abdullah, do you confirm? Well, how much do you confirm? Can I see your work here? 6% over 2 to the power. To the power.
To the 6.
Yeah.
Get 6.
Okay. Plus.
It must be less than 1,000.
Plus, no, it's going to be more. Plus 1,000 times to the power of, good, 1054.17. I guess our friend here is correct. 1054.17. We don't want to make a mistake now on the board. The world's watching us, so we've got to be very careful. So this is going to be how much now? 1054.17.
Can you do it for me here, please, so I can see how you...
Of course I can. Of course. So this is going to be what? It's going to be 40 times what? Times 1 minus Well, let's go ahead and write it down. What am I doing? Let's go ahead and write it down. Let's go ahead and write it down, okay? So it's going to be 40 times what? 40 times 1 minus 1 plus 6% over 2 is how much? 3%, right?
Yeah.
To the power of
Minus 2 times 3.
negative 2 times 3
Sorry.
over
6%.
over 3%, which is 6% over 2, right?
2 is
Plus 1,000 times 1 plus, yes sir, 3% to the power of negative 6, right? And this is going to be how much? 3% over, well, 6% over 2, which is 3%. I did it.
Not here.
On the other
6% over 2 is still 3%.
3 divided by 2 or not?
It's 6%.
Ah, it's already.
Yeah, I did it, right? So how much is it now in total?
sorry, the power
Of negative 6. 2 times 3, I'm sorry. Yeah, of course. Thank you. To the power of 2 times 3. So how much in total? 1054. Thank you. 1054, right? Point 0.17, 0.17. 1054, right? Huh? 1054.17. Can I see it? On the okay, you got it. So 1054.17. Great, no problem. 1054.17, which is larger than, which is more than face value. Which is what, Tom? Which is more than face value because we know that unless otherwise stated, face value is gonna always be what? Is always gonna be $1,000. So the market price for this particular bond is greater than face value. Is greater than what? Is more than face value, right? So we've seen a couple of bonds so far. For the first bond, FMV was less than face value, and for that bond, for this bond, for the second bond, FMV was greater than face value. So let's go ahead and do the third bond we have today. So for the third bond, are we done here, guys? So for the third bond, we're still going to be looking for FMV, right? So for the third bond, we're still going to be looking for FMV. 3-year bond still. Okay. So for the third bond, we're going to be looking for still FMV. For the third bond, we're still going to be looking for FMV. 3 years to maturity, 8% coupon rate. And the discount rate is going to be going up to 10%.
Again?
To 8%. It's going to be going up to 8%. So we're going to be elevating the discount rate a little bit higher to 8%. You got it? So the discount rate is 8%. So what we have here, again, fair market value, how much for a 3-year bond, 8% coupon rate, and 8% discount rate. And how can we answer to that problem? How can we possibly answer to that problem? Well, tell me. FMV is going to be how much? Well, we have to change the timeline here or no? No, the timeline is going to be untouched. Why? Because the number of years to maturity is not changing, right? And the coupon rate is not changing, right? And therefore, we're still going to be working with the same timeline. We're still going to be working with the same timeline. So let's go ahead and answer that problem. So, of course, good. You can see ahead of me. Bravo. Thank you. So FMV is going to be how much? FMV is P0. What's P0? It's D. It's D of what? Well, it's D of 40. Annuity. 8%. M is 2. This is what a semi-annual coupon is all about. N is how much? 3 years to maturity plus D of how much? $1,000. What is it? How much is it? So it's $1,000. What is it? It's a single sum, right? R of 8% again.
2 and 3.
M is 2, and N is how many years? 3 years. Let's go ahead and solve that. So tell me here how things look like, how the mathematics look like.
40 minus
So we're going to be having 40, right? 40 times
1 minus
1 plus 8% over 2. This is going to be 4% to the power of negative 2 times 3 over 8% over 2, which is 4%, plus what?
1,000.
Plus $1,000 times 1 plus 8% over 2, which is 4% to the power of negative 2 times 3. And the answer here is going to be how much in total? It's going to be exactly $1,000. It's going to be exactly $1,000. It's going to be exactly $1,000. If you do it, it's going to be $1,000. In fact, I made it up this way. I made it up this way. So by mathematical construction. It is so by mathematical construction. So we've seen 3 bonds so far. For the first bond, fair market value was less than face value. For the second bond, fair market value was larger than face value. And for that third bond, it's a break even, right? It's a break even. Fair market value is nothing but face value. It's a break even. It's a tie. It's a tie. Let's talk some economics and find some intuition behind the 3 bonds. Let's go ahead and find some intuition, economic intuition though, behind the 3 bonds we just saw. So okay, for the first bond, let's go ahead and summarize our findings for today. So let's go ahead and summarize our findings for today. You got it? So how many bonds? 3 bonds. How many assets? 3 assets, right? And 3 different scenarios, right? And the same intuition. So let's go ahead and summarize what we have. So, okay, how many cases we've seen so far? 3 cases. The first case, the second case, and the third case, right? What are we looking for? What are we looking for? Well, first we're looking for F and V, right? Versus face value, right? And for that first bond, what we had for the first bond, so the F and V of 949 was less than the face value of $1,000, right? 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 But what we had here, what we also had, if you look at this bond, let's go ahead and compare CR to DR versus DR. So let's go ahead and compare coupon rate to the discount rate. What we had for that particular bond? Well, we had the coupon rate, right? What we had was the coupon rate less than the discount rate, right? So for that particular bond, the coupon rate was 8%. Less than the discount. The discount rate was larger than the coupon rate, and that's why face value was larger than the market price. For the second bond, what we have? Well, but before we get into the second bond, we call that bond discount bond. We call it what, huh? We call it what, huh? We call it a discount bond. It's a bond that sells for less than its face value. It's a bond that sells for less than its what, huh? Its face value. It's a bond that sells for less than its face value, and therefore it's a discount bond. The economic intuition here is very simple. What's a coupon rate? It's a promised rate. It's what, huh? It's a promised rate. What's a discount rate? It's a market rate. So if something promises you less than the market, right? If you are getting it, if you are going to be getting it, you're going to be getting it at a discount, right? It is not good enough, right? Right? It is not good enough. The market promises you better. The market promises you what? The market promises you better. And therefore, when you get it, if any, you're going to be getting it at a discount. You got it? See, the intuition here is very simple, right? Right? If the market promises you better than something, right, you are going to be getting that something at a discount. That something is not good enough. It is not up to your standards. It is not what? It is not up to your standards, right? You can do better somewhere else. You can do better what? You can do better somewhere else, right? But if you're dying for it, you're going to be getting it at a discount. You're going to be getting it what? You're going to be getting it at a discount. You got it? It's very simple. You got it? So what about the second bond? What about the second bond? The second bond, the fair market value was larger than the face value, was greater than the face value. The fair market value of 1054.17 was larger than the face value of $1,000. But what we had here for the coupon rate versus the discount rate, what we had? We had a coupon rate which is larger than the discount rate. So the coupon rate was larger than the discount rate. How much coupon rate we had here? The coupon rate was 8%. Whereas the discount rate was how much? Was 6%. So just because of that, just because the coupon rate was larger than the discount rate, right? F&V was larger than face value, right? And this is the case for a premium bond. This is the case for what? This is the case for a premium bond. This is the case for what? For a premium bond. Well, look at it. The economic intuition is also very simple. Look at it. The economic intuition is also very, very simple. Well, for a premium bond, the coupon rate is larger. A premium bond promises you more than the market. And therefore, you are going to be always willing to get it at extra. You're always going to be willing to pay extra for it. You got it? You're always going to be willing to pay extra for it. Why? Why are you always going to be in a position to pay extra for it? Because it promises you more than the market. Because it promises you what? It's a premium. And therefore, you're going to be paying extra for it. You're going to be getting it at an extra premium, right? And that totally explains why the fair market value is going to be larger than face value. It's just because of the simple fact that the coupon rate is larger than the discount rate, i.e. that particular bond promises you more than what the market has in a stock for you. You got it? More than the market has in a stock for you. So you cannot do better on average anywhere else in the market. You got it? So for a premium bond, you cannot do on average better anywhere else in the market. You cannot do on average better anywhere else in the market. You got it? And that's why it's a premium bond. Good. What about the third bond? What about the third bond? Well, if you look at it, the third bond, we had a fair market value breaking even with face value. The fair market value of $1,000 was equal to the face value of $1,000. And why was that? Because the coupon rate was also breaking even with the discount rate. Well, that particular bond promises you exactly what the market offers, and therefore you're going to be taking that bond for face value. You're going to be taking the bond for what? For face value. Why? Because it promises you exactly what the market offers, right? So on average, anywhere else on the market, you're going to be getting the same offer. You're going to be getting what? The same offer. And therefore, you're going to be paying face value. You're going to be getting that bond at face value. You're going to be taking that asset for face value. This is why we call it face value bond. This is why we call it what? This is why we call it a face value bond. This is why we call it what? This is why we call it a face value bond. You got it? This is why we call it a face value bond. You see that? This is why we call it a face value bond.
Beautiful.
Great. You have any questions? Huh? Any questions? So what we saw today,
Amazing.
3 different assets, 3 bonds, right? For the first bond, what we had? A discount bond. Why is it a discount bond? Because the market promises you better. Because what? Huh? Because the market promises you better, right? The second bond, what we had? It's a premium bond. Why is it a premium? Because it promises you more than the market. Because it promises you what? Huh? Because it promises you more than the market. For the third bond, what we have, it's a tie, it's a break even, it's a face value bond. Why this is so? Because it promises you exactly what the market has to promise. You got it? It promises you exactly what the market has to promise. And therefore, you're going to be taking that bond at face value. You're going to be taking that bond what? Huh? You're going to be taking that bond for face value. You got it? Any questions? Huh?
Did you just say about discount?
Of course.
اخر يعني سمرايز الاخير بالعربي عشان نتاكد انه فهمنا صح ولا لا.
I'm not supposed to be doing it
اخر
in
شيء
Arabic.
اخر
No, I'm not supposed to. No Arabic.
Exceptional.
No Arabic. No exceptions. But let me say it again in English. Let me say it again in English. For that bond, the market promises you nicer. The market gives you a nice offer. A nicer offer, right? I give you an example. You have in mind like a Toyota car.
Good.
Right? And you end up getting yourself a Mercedes-Benz. So are you going to be paying extra or less for the Mercedes-Benz?
Extra.
Exactly. This is why Mercedes-Benz, as opposed to a Toyota car, is a premium car.
That's a premium bond.
That's a premium bond. I'm talking about the premium bond. You see that? Let's do it the other way around. You had in mind a Mercedes-Benz, and you're going to be ending up getting yourself a Toyota car. So are you going to be paying for the Toyota car less than what you had in mind or more than what you had in mind? You're going to be paying less than what you had in mind because you're getting a lesser promise. You got it? So this is a discount bond, right? You have in mind a Toyota car and you end up getting yourself a Toyota car. So you're going to be paying the exact price of a Toyota car. You're not going to be paying more or less as opposed to what you had originally in mind. So this is a face value bond. You got it?
Yes.
So it's all about what you have in mind
What do you have in mind?
and what the market offers you. You got it? It's all about what you have in mind and what the market offers you. If what the market offers you is greater than what you have in mind, therefore it's a discount. It's what? Huh? It's a discount, right? It's a discount. You see that? Because the market offers you nicer. The market offers you what? Huh? Nicer, right? What you had in mind is less, right? If what you had in mind is greater than what the market offers you, then you're going to be ending up with a premium asset. You're going to be ending up with what? Huh? With a premium asset. The market is the average. The market is the average. What you have is what you have. So if what you have is better than the average, therefore what you have must have been a premium. Must have been what? Huh? Must have been a premium. If what you have is less than the average, therefore what you have must have been a discount. If what you have is exactly equals to the average, therefore what you have must have been a face value.
So it depends on what you have.
Exactly. What you have in mind. What you are promised.
How much?
Got it? We have two promises here. We have a contractable promise. We have what? We have a contractable promise and we have a market promise. We have a contractable promise, which is what? Which is CR. And we have a market promise. If the market promise is greater than the contractable promise, you're going to be getting that asset at a discount. You got it? If the contractable promise is more than the market, it's a premium asset, right? It offers you more than the market. It promises you better than the market. If the contractable promise is exactly equal to the market promise, we're talking about a face value asset. No sweat. This is a break even. You're going to be going home with a face value asset. You don't have to think much about it. You got it?
If you are a premium thinking person, you'll go with the premium bond.
Good. This is a very, very good question. This is a great question. All of finance is about asset pricing. I'm not telling you here that a premium bond is a good investment. I'm not telling you here that a discount bond is a bad investment. We are just pricing a discount bond and as opposed to pricing a premium bond. So you know what's a good investment? Well, according to our pricing, how much should you, no. Well, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. But look here, listen. For that discount bond, you should pay how much? $9.49, right? What if you get it for $9.40? Then it's a good investment. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Then it's a good investment. What about this bond here? How much should you pay for it?
154.
$10.54, right? What if you get it for $1,200? Then it's a bad investment
Yeah, I got it.
because you get it for more than its market value, and it's a bad investment. But if you somehow can possibly get it for less than its market value, then it definitely defines a good investment. Right? A good investment is nothing but capitalizing on a market mistake.
No, you okay.
Capitalizing on what, huh? Yeah, I'm just answering his question.
Okay.
Because he thought that a premium bond is a good investment and a discount bond is a bad investment.
No.
But I'm not talking about that here. I'm just talking about pricing.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not talking about pricing, right? So if you should pay $10 for something that you got it for $8, therefore you must have gotten yourself a nice deal. That's a good investment. But if you should pay $10 for something that you got it for $12, therefore you must have gotten yourself a poor deal. That's a bad investment, right?
Regardless of the benefit you...
Yeah, so it's about a good investment versus a bad investment is about how much should you pay versus how much you actually end up paying, right? Pricing is about how much should you pay. You got it? I don't know how much you're going to be ending up paying, right? I'm telling you here how much should you pay, right? And how much should you pay for a 3-year bond, 8% coupon, and 10% discount rate? You should pay less than face value, and in particular, you should pay $9.49. If you pay more, it's a bad deal. If you pay less, be my guest. It's always a nice deal. You got it? So this is not about which investment is good versus which investment is bad. This is about spelling out how much should you pay for the asset. How much should you what? Huh? How much should you pay? How much should you pay for a bond, for a 3-year bond, where the coupon rate is 8% and the discount rate 6%? You should pay $10.54. If you end up paying $1,000, therefore you've gotten yourself a nice deal, right? If you end up paying $1,500, therefore you end up yourself with a bad deal, with a poor deal. This is a bad investment. You got it? So it's all about how much should you pay versus how much you end up paying. If you end up paying less than how much you should pay, therefore it's a nice investment, right? Whereas if you end up paying more than what you should pay, therefore you're going to be ending up with a poor investment. Asset pricing is about how much should you pay on average. How much should you pay in the market, right? How much you end up paying, something we can never tell you about in economics because it's about many things. It's about many things. Perhaps about your negotiation skills. It's about far too many conditions beyond that very simple market analysis. You got it? You have any questions for today? Huh? You have any questions? So we're going to be done for today. Today is enough. I see you guys sleeping and all, so we continue next week. Thank you so much. We're gonna be having. We're gonna be heading straight for the midterms, right? And the quiz is gonna be after the midterms because we don't have time. It's only like a couple of weeks until midterms. So
midterms will be including chapter 1, 2.
Midterms is gonna be midterms is gonna be covering everything we have done ever since we started.
Are we gonna have a revision before that?
Yes, we do. No problem.
Sure.
We allow for it. No problem. Any questions? Any questions, guys? Yes, sir.
I thought it could be like Arabic. You kind of speak Arabic. So
Any questions, guys? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.